Hey Monkey community, hope everyone had a great Thursday. Checking in on the project, we're at 222,000 market cap, which is down about 1% over the last 24 hours. So that floor is definitely in. And you can see from the chart here that over the last couple of weeks here, it's definitely flat on low volume, which is completely normal for a cult or conviction coin like Monkey. I'll talk a little bit about that in a second, but I did want to ask the question, are you a monkey believer? And the correct mindset for a coin like Monkey, and talk about that a little bit. And for Monkey, the community is definitely our biggest asset, and we'll discuss that also. But I first want to talk about believing. And for me, the definition of believing means you're bought in and you believe that the coin's going to go a lot higher. So you believe in the potential and the vision, and you can see it going quite a bit higher, and you're not worried about short-term price fluctuations, and you have an accumulation mindset. So these dips you look at and see as an opportunity to buy the dip and average down in your um, average buy price, and you have that mindset that these are opportunities to buy. The opposite of that, if you don't have a believer mindset, you might be a little bit more impatient and look at the chart constantly and want it to go up. You're concerned it's going to go to zero. And that's kind of the wrong mindset for a coin like Monkey, in my opinion. The right mindset is to have the believer mindset where you buy it because you like it, you buy the amount you can afford, and then you shill and you push as much as you can to help the project get to the market cap that we're looking for. And the dips are just opportunities to accumulate and are not a reason to panic. And we can see here that with this floor, there is a core group of holders that are holding Monkey for the long term. And we know the potential Monkey. And a small group of believing holders can send a coin like Monkey. And we don't need, thousands of holders that are believers. It could be 100 or probably even 50, depending on the amount that they accumulate. But the difference between Monkey and other projects is that we've got this 6-month history where we have the holders in that we know are going to hold and are more likely to keep holding even when we see things pump or even drop. So I think that's a great sign for Monkey here. And we do need more holders like this. So if you know any bag workers who are long-term holders, shill a Monkey. And you can shill them in the DMs even, or just specifically target their posts on X. And I think we just keep on adding these uh, great great holders that are believers, then I think that just increases the likelihood that we send really hard once we start getting that volume back. And if you're a casual holder right now, you know, make the shift, be a believer, and say I'm never selling this thing, and help us shill. And I think that's great for the coin overall. And again, bottoming out like this happens all the time for these community coins like Monkey. It's a normal thing, and even the most rabid cult communities often see these large pullbacks because it's getting rid of the paper hands and the folks that aren't serious, that aren't in it for the long haul. And again, that's a normal thing, and it doesn't alarm me at all regarding Monkey. And kind of as an example, we'll look at Solana real quick. Obviously, Solana is not in the same category as Monkey in terms of coins, but I just want to show you an example here. So if we go back to 2020 when Solana was launched, I believe it was kind of middle of 2020, you can see here this flat period here, 6 months or so, right? 7 months, 8 months here, and we're still in the millions here. You see it's down at 10 million. And then even here, you can't even see it on the chart, but it's up to 63 million. So there's definitely some movement in here. But then in 2021, they kind of have this parabolic rise up to 74 billion market cap on 11 of 2021. And you can see that started in August, right? Or July, right? So 4 months from 7 billion to 75 billion, right? That's huge. And then it has this huge pullback here. You can see it's down to 13 billion, 10 billion, That's an 85% pullback. That's a huge pullback. So some folks who got in here were not believers and they sold or took profits, or some believers probably took profits as well. But you can see it got all the way down to 3.5 billion here, and then that was on 12/29 of 2022, and you can see this kind of sideways trading, you know, 10 months or so, all the way up until September, and then they have the parabolic rise all the way back up to the all-time high and beyond to 125 billion. So you can see that there was this period here after the initial pump where it's sort of trading sideways ish since July of 2022. Look, it's over a year, right? Kind of trading sideways here. And so that's a good time. Look at the volume down here on the bottom here. So the volume greatly decreased and it's sort of flat before this parabolic rise. And Monkey obviously is a meme coin. It's different than Solana, but I just want to show you that example that we have this sort of period where we're bottomed out, the unbelievers are out, and only believers are left. And then they have the parabolic rise later, right? And we know the rest is kind of history. And Solana's right here, looking good to keep on pumping when these altcoins run. So I thought this was a good example of, looks short here, and this chart looks great, obviously, but what would it feel like to be holding here in this area? And we need to keep that in mind for our conviction coins like Monkey. All right, let's look at X and see what happened in the news here. Iced posted the meme resurrection is loading. I do think we're going to have a nice meme run at some point. And as I mentioned, it does seem like there's a return to quality cult memes, kind of the OGs. And I put Monkey in that category, just 6 months old, but definitely well known and well established meme coin. And K Money says meme coins right now feel the closest to how they felt in Q3 2023. Funny, retarded memes slowly forming communities, not too much attention. Enough doubters in place to help fuel a disbelief rally in the near future. Electric, I kind of get that feeling too, that the conviction coins are going to make a huge comeback, and the sentiment has sort of shifted towards these types of coins. And I think we're in good shape here with Monkey. I think it's going to be one that sends. Dawn says here, I told you they wanted your coins cheaper. They want you to capitulate. They want you to panic and feel like it's over. They're now running it back turbo, wanting you to buy back higher. And so he's talking about the broader market. But I do think that's the case for Monkey, is this sideways trading doesn't feel great all the time unless you're a believer. If you're a believer, you're not worried about it, right? And if you're not a believer and you're thinking about selling, in my opinion, don't sell the bottom like this. It's clearly a bottomed out chart. It's a great time to hold or add more if you want to and you can afford it. But selling now wouldn't make sense, especially for all the potential that Monkey has. And you tend to want to panic when you're in a spot where your bags are down. And we've seen it, like for instance, Solana, folks here thinking, wow, 70 billion down to 4 billion, 5 billion is never coming back, right? You can kind of feel their apprehension there. And so keep this in mind. It will feel like it's over. It's not over if you believe in the coin. Gainsey, on the same note, says maxis tend to make the most because they never get shaken out of their bags. Even as an Ethereum maxi who underperformed, I didn't get chopped and pivoted to Zcash on time to outperform. Traders with no conviction in any coin inevitably get chopped and leave. So I think he's saying have your conviction bags and don't sell, don't get shaken out of your bags, because if you do, you end up moving around too much and you end up getting drained essentially and you leave. And so he's speaking from experience. So I agree with this here. For your conviction coins, you have to treat them differently and buy them and hold them and be a maxi and never get shaken out of your monkey bag. Andy Leon says narratives fade fast, but real communities build value. And I think that's what we're doing with Monkey. We're building over time. We're adding more types of content, and I think it's going to be great year in 2026, and I think we're going to keep on growing as a community. Gainsey here, another post says you can profitably diamond hand long-term bags, you can profitably swing trade rotational plays, you can profitably scalp tiny windows, but you'll go broke if you keep switching between every strategy every time you hit an unprofitable window. Eventually the market will align and pay you out. So I think this is a great point. Don't switch between these strategies, especially on your conviction bags. You can profitably diamond hand long-term bags, put Monk in that category, and do not mess around, in my opinion, with the trade and rotational plays or scalping or anything like that related to Monkey. Just buy and hold there, and we make money in these other ways. Rotate back into Monkey, in my opinion. Get in position on the conviction bags because the run will come quickly. And then Johnny says generational wealth or die trying. So I mean the point here is let's hold for the long term and see how far we can get with this generational wealth with Monkey. I really do believe we have a unique coin here that has the power of the community. I know Monkey Flip was saying in DMs that that's the benefit of Monkey. That's really what we're buying here. This powerful community that's sticking by and not selling here at the bottom. Instead, we're adding more and just over time, the community is just getting stronger and stronger. So we do need to add more folks. We do need to get that catalyst, of course. But right now, to me, things are on track. We're in good shape here because of the meme ability of Monkey and that great community that we have. All right, thanks everybody. Excited for 2026, and I will see you guys tomorrow.